Yeah.
Time being, time being 7 o'clock, I'd like to open up the regular scheduled council meeting of Monday, July 24th, 2024. Of June 24, 2024. And if you'd all please stand, face the flag and repeat after me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. To the flag stands one nation. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. First item tonight is public input. Any citizen may speak under the public input portion of this agenda for a period of 3 minutes. You may speak on an agenda or non-agenda item. If the council chooses to grant you more time, they may do that by consensus. Anyone to speak? I have two people, Mike Summer. Please.
Very quickly, the picture I just gave you is a picture of a house on Mobile Drive. It's 405. The owner of that property is deceased about a year now. As you can see, the condition is not conducive to property values in the area. And I wouldn't have brought it here except that other neighbors who live across the street from it have said that they brought it to the attention, but nothing has happened during this period. So I think maybe the board needs to be aware of it. That the county is really responsible. I would think. I'm not a lawyer, but that's who I think needs to take care of this. If they're gonna, so looks like heck. I know if it was on your street, you wouldn't feel very good about it.
This is in our town limits, obviously, Troy. And from my experience in the past, I confer with the city attorney on this. The town can actually clean that up and lien the property, the cost of doing that if necessary.
Right.
If we can't get anyone to do that.
Yeah.
So, and then that would go against pay the city back when that house sells or whatever, probate or whatever goes on with it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus,
So we'll try to reach out to find out who's in charge.
Yeah, we've done
Done that.
several reach outs and then they changed their numbers, so we're trying to track them down.
Yeah,
The ordinance says if it's over 3 feet, we can intervene.
right. So,
It does.
Yeah. so
That is over
we're
3
gonna take
feet.
care of-
You get lost in there. Short guy like
Okay.
me anyways.
thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Next person to speak is Paula Castillo.
Paula Castillo, Lancier Drive. I just wanted to say we had our Meet the Chief breakfast on Saturday, the Neighborhood Watch sponsored, and it was a great success. I mean, literally standing room only in this building. We had every member of the P and Z, I believe, came and brought their lovely wives. We had several of our council people and our mayor, and I had invited our state representative, Cronda Timmis. She couldn't make it, but she sent her deputy district director with a special proclamation honoring our new police department and celebration. It was really a big deal. She gave a really nice presentation to Chief Ty. And people were just so excited about our police department and there was no negativity. It was great. We ran out of food. Chief Ty had said, let's have breakfast tacos. And I don't think you even got to eat because he was so popular. And also, Officer Weisinger, is that his name, Chris? He's a really neat guy too. And, Mark and I were just talking, he's been working really hard today on Orchid Hill. Jeff. So, and also, we got so many great comments on our new police building. People were going in and out. I just wanted to say to the council and the guys that worked on this architecture for that, people were so impressed by it. I'm sorry that Steve's on here, Steve Kohler, because I wanted to make sure that he knows that everybody was just so happy with it. Of course, some of us older people will know, everybody wanted to know where Otis's room is. And if you know, you know, if you ever watched the Andy Griffith show, you know, Otis, but I don't think we're going to have a jail. But anyway, the other thing is we now have these new awesome Copper Canyon decals for your car, wherever you want to put them. They're oval. We had them years ago. It's the same logo. We kept this logo because it's rustic and rural and everybody, it's great response. As I said Saturday, it's not a get out of jail free card. I mean, just because you have it on your car, but I've seen several people around it. And one other thing real quick, when I was here in May, I noticed that on the budget sheet, there had been a coding error on the neighborhood watch for $615 that we did not spend in April. And we got an email from the town saying that it was a coding error and that it had been fixed. Unfortunately, when I looked at the consent agenda number 2 for tonight, under O&M down on neighborhood watch, it's still there in April. And after Saturday, I'm going to be way overdrawn with my party, with my budget, because we did spend money to entertain the people of this town. So I just want to know what happened, why that was not fixed. Seemed to me if it was a coding error, it'd be simple. And the email that I received said it was fixed. Anyway, we need to be real careful with our budget because we know what happens when we're not. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is staff and mayor report. I was going to report on the breakfast of it. There was no negativity in that room that day, and it was a very positive room, which was good to hear and good to see. Great out. Anybody have anything to report on their respective duties?
Mayor, I don't have anything to that I'd like to address. Town administrator. The status of the structures that were erected in town without permits. Can you update us on where we stand on that?
Yes, sir, sure can. The structure that was in violation on Waite Road appeared in court this past Wednesday and received a full violation fee. So that has been closed and taken care of. He also paid the permit fee, the investigation fees as well. So
did they remove the portion of that structure that
yes, sir, he's trying to-
violated our
Yep.
zoning issues?
Yep. So his camper is no longer covered, and he meets our square footage of what his garage was. So that's correct.
And the other one?
The other one, he has filed for a permit for an accessory building, and so we're in the process of reviewing that. Based on 14 acres.
Has he been giving a permit or?
He has not been given a permit. He's getting all his paperwork in, and where it's in process. So he has not been approved.
Well, my question goes to the fact, because obviously this is going to affect quite a few people in that general vicinity. It is not a small structure. It is a very large structure. And it was put up without any care to our ordinances, permits, or anything else. And before I recommend that before we give any permits to anybody who has conducted that type of violation, that at least the council have an opportunity to discuss what can or cannot be done as a result of that.
Well, our ordinance kind of spells that out. You can have an accessory building up to 3,000 square feet
On a 14
on
acre.
a 14-acre piece of property. It's no longer a church. And it's no longer a commercial building. It's now he's claiming accessory building instead of a church. So if it is in excess of 3,000 square feet, you'd have to ask for a
Variance.
variance. Is that correct?
Well, Mayor, my point is not the fact that I'm somewhat familiar with the restrictions on accessory buildings on different sized properties. My concern is that should we allow this process to continue without at least some discussion as to what should occur, we are setting and allowing and creating a precedent where feel free to do whatever you want on your property and then come back to us and say, I'm really sorry.
I don't disagree.
And I just wanted to get ahead of this before
Sure.
we start giving permits out. I want to be involved in that discussion, and I think the entire council needs to be involved in that discussion
Absolutely.
because we're the ones that get the blowback. That was my only point. Thank you.
Anybody else? Not, I'll go to the next item, is consent agenda. Any item on the consent agenda may be removed by any member of council for individual discussion and consideration. Councilmember Castillo would like to pull item number 2, which is approval of May 2024 financials. Is there anything else that any of the council needs to have pulled? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve consent agenda item number 1, 3, and 4.
Is that because of the neighborhood watch?
No, there's several other things that I'd like to go over,
Okay,
but I do want to address that as well.
okay. Do you want to go over that now?
Yeah, let's just go, go ahead.
Okay, the first thing that, and if the objective is to discuss it so we can include it in the consent agenda, we made that mistake last time when we discussed this and it obviously didn't get fixed. So I don't want this going forward until I know for a fact that it's been fixed. But there were, I'm trying to do my due diligence and keep track of the financials of the town. On a positive note, the one thing that I noticed that really caught my attention under the income section was the interest income, which is substantially above what we had forecast in the past. And that's credit to you two gentlemen for working on, on the investments and what we're doing with our money. So thank you for doing all that work. Obviously, the neighborhood watch issue is still there. My only problem is that we were told that that had been fixed. And so what I would like to see, just in doing my due diligence, I request that I receive a copy of the canceled check so that I can see what this coding error is, because that really doesn't tell me anything. I would like to know what that money was spent on and where does it actually belong. It's just a matter of keeping track of who's doing what to whom. That is part of our job, to ensure that the town's finances are well cared for. The other questions that I had, because I keep going back to this, under law enforcement expenditures, the very first line below that, law enforcement contracts. Mr. Meyer, I need you to walk me through this. We're 456% over budget on that. And I need to understand, there are 2 figures in there in November of last year and also in April that are over $19,000. And I believe you said last time that that was because the period before had not been paid, correct?
That is correct. So if you look at October and then it rolls into November, there was no bill in October, so
Correct.
it doubled up in November. And then the one in April, we were going through our audit, and there was an invoice that was not paid from January of 23.
Okay, so that
So that
explains.
carried over, and we went ahead and paid that and trued that up with the county.
All right, very good. I know that part of that expenditure will have been offset because our officers were not on site and being paid at that time.
Right.
And I do understand that. But for the folks that follow this kind of stuff, a lot of it was due to the delay in getting our TCOL certification. We had only expected to have Denton County sheriffs on board for just a few months in this fiscal year. Unfortunately, due to the delays, we had to incur some extra costs to keep our beloved Maurice around.
And then Rudy, just to note that if you go down and look at salaries for law enforcement, we had no salaries for our own officers from October through December. So those costs were kind of offset by that
Correct.
contract.
Yeah, that's why I pointed it out. It's just, somebody's looking down, quick review of the budget and they look down at the percentages. It's kind of a starting
Yes.
number. And I wanted to make sure anybody at home or anybody that looks at it later understands where that money went and what it was spent for. And finally, on the last page under roads and drainage expenditures, the second item, mowing the right of way. That's another item that we're almost at 100% and we're only about halfway through the fiscal year. Is that because we have a different provider for that service for mowing the right of way, or what has caused that?
It's a combination of a couple of things. One, because of all the tree damage that occurred in the spring and falling on the road. So we had to get crews out there to remove those. And then we also upgraded the a roundabout as well.
Okay. All right, well, let's just, we need to keep track of expenses like that tend to creep up
Right.
so that we don't get surprised at the end of the year. And if we need to perhaps look for better options or, maybe a bid for a less expensive option, that might be something to look at and worthwhile. And that was all I had on that, Mayor.
Thank you. Are you willing to approve the agenda item number 2? Or I leave it out?
Mayor, I would prefer that if he left out until this is correct.
Okay, so we're going to have an acceptance or denial of it. So I'd entertain a motion to approve item number 1, 3, and 4.
I'll make a motion. We approve items 1, 3, and 4 of the consent agenda.
I have a motion by the Mayor Pro Tem. I have a second. Second by Councilmember Andrews. All in favor of approving items 1, 3, and 4?
Aye.
Okay, next item is entertain a motion to approve or deny item number 2, which is approval of 2024 financials. I'll go with an item to approve first. If I get a motion in a second, we'll vote no. Is there a motion to approve?
Can I make a motion? We approve subject to the corrections?
Absolutely can.
Yeah, I think they're pretty simple corrections, I assume, so.
I have a motion to approve with amendments and corrections. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Councilmember Liebert. All in favor of approval with motion with acceptance of corrections.
Aye. No.
I have 3, 2, 1 in favor. Next item is public hearing. The town council will conduct a public hearing for the proposed and hearing any and all comments and consider and recommendations from the Copper Canyon Planning and Zoning Commission regarding the following Jernigan Estates development plan, hereby allowing the development of approximately 12 acres and to allow for the development of 6 single-family lots located at 545 Jernigan in Copper Canyon. This is a public hearing. Anyone here to speak in favor or opposition of the development plan? The time opening the public hearing will be 7:17. Anyone to speak in favor or opposition? Hearing none, I will close the public.
Darren Andrews with McAdams. One thing I would just like to make sure that everybody is clear on in regard to the detention pond, because there's been a lot of talk about the maintenance, siltation and depth. I just want to make sure that the city code allows, it has to be able to hold, 5 years of siltation. And that's all the way up to the bottom of the outlet structure. And that is what is considered in our calculations engineering. That is where the storage takes place. So anything below that level is not considered in any design calculations. That is only basically for just to act as a pond and to act as siltation. That's one of the benefits of having a wet pond, is because it does add to water quality for the downstream quality of the water. And so I just wanted to make sure that everybody was understanding both of those are in the city code. So if anybody has any questions in regards to that.
I don't think so. Thank you. No one else to speak in favor or opposition? In that case, the time being One more, Mr. Kennedy. Okay.
Michael Candidate, 1081 Post Oak Road. I'd just like to reinforce what my engineer said. The pond can be totally siltated to the full pool, and we were given no consideration for the capacity of the pond. So it's from the surface and up, and we've been looking at that in the maintenance agreement, and that we've complied with everything on both sides on our site, not inconveniencing either neighbor. So I think that they're unaffected and we totally comply on our site.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Chris Bowers, Suster Law Group, 1316 Village Creek Drive, Plano, Texas, here representing Precision Developers and Builders. I just want to make 3 brief points. First, I don't see anywhere in the town's ordinances that a maintenance agreement is required. And if it's not in the ordinance, I think this town should not be adding a requirement out of thin air and requiring this maintenance agreement. Second, I would argue that this maintenance agreement is not needed because you've just heard from the engineer that even if there is no maintenance, that you won't have any adverse flooding occurring to the downstream owner. And third, the draft agreement we were given is very onerous for a detention pond of this size. And I really question, that it's not appropriate for this sort of detention pond. So we want to work with the town on this issue, but we do believe that the requirements should be relaxed in this maintenance agreement.
Thank you. Anyone else speak in favor or opposition? Hearing none, time being 7:21, I close the public hearing on regarding the development agreement plan. Second public hearing is the town council will conduct a public hearing, purpose of hearing any and all comments and consider a recommendation from the Copper Canyon Planning and Zoning Commission regarding the following Journeyton Estates preliminary plat, and hereby allowing for the development of approximately 12 acres and to be allowed for development of 6 single-family lots located at 545 Journeyton. Time being 7:22. Is anyone here to speak in favor of
Mayor,
opposition?
instead of them having to get up and say the same things again, I would recommend that we take the comments of the 3 individuals that got up and spoke, Mr. Bowers, Mr. Kennedy, and the engineer, and incorporate those into this public hearing as well. Then that way you can ask for any additional comments.
So accepted. Anybody else to speak in favor or opposition?
Again, I just want to be clear about what the engineer and the attorney said. We're trying to be a good partner with Copper Canyon, and we're not refusing. We're not saying there's no maintenance agreement, but to have somebody come and survey the depth, twice a year, and some of the terms that are in there are just unreasonable. I mean, we didn't get any credit in the design, which we would like credit for, 1.5 million gallon pond. We get no consideration for that water capacity. So it doesn't need to be monitored at the expense of, Mr. Singh, biannually for 5 years. So it's just like that. So we would love to sign something reasonable. It's just the grass that goes to the pond, which already exists and it's been there for 25 years. You're not going to issue any building permits in the path of that. There's nothing that's going to grow. I mean, I guess vegetation is the best thing to be there since it's a water path. Just want you to know that we are being reasonable in our request.
All right, thank you. Anybody else speaking in favor or opposition? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing with the time being 7:24. Next item is executive session. The town council shall convene into a closed executive session pursuant to section 551-071 Texas Government Code to seek legal advice from the town attorney regarding the property for the proposed residential development in the town jurisdiction. Time being 7:25. The town council will go into recess. We will reconvene into executive session in 2 minutes.
Still ringing?
Time being 7:55, the council has closed executive session. We're reconvening into open session.
Mayor and
What-
council, and Mayor, you have two action items that related to the public hearings that you've opened and closed, and after you had the opportunity to seek legal advice from me, I would ask you to consider as to action item 7, number 1, the following motion. Motion to approve the development plan for Jernigan Estates as presented by the applicant and recommended by planning and zoning.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion as stated.
I have a motion by the Mayor Pro Tem, a second.
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Lieber, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, motion carries.
The second motion on the second item in 7, number 2, is a motion to approve the preliminary plat with the conditions that a maintenance agreement and easements as required by the town engineering design manual be approved by the town council prior to final plat.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion as stated.
A motion by the Mayor Pro Tem, is there a second? Second, Councilmember Andrews, all in favor? Unanimous, motion carries. Next item of business is consider from the executive session. There's nothing to consider out of the executive session. Next item is discussion of future agenda items. Council, the next council meeting will be held on July 22nd instead of Monday, July 8th. Is there anything any of you would like to have on the next agenda? Hearing none, time being 7:57, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem, a second.
I'll second.
Second, Mayor Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Okay.